It was the talk of being reinstated that made me want to talk to you again tonight. This is Donald Trump thinking, perhaps, that in August he will be president again. What is your professional reaction to that?
Well, Donald Trump is delusional. This is not news. We've known this for the past 4 years, at least. He keeps insisting on things as true, which are demonstrably false. That's the definition of a delusion. So I think what we're seeing is a continuation of his grandiose delusion that he is better than everyone, more important than everyone, and consequently, no one else matters. He doesn't care about anyone else. It's all about his own power. Part of the hell that you speak of is that I think that he is enraged, which is not unusual for him. I don't think that he's capable of being sorrowful at his loss, though, because he doesn't know that he's lost. He's deluded about it. So I think that what we're seeing is the increasingly desperate attempts to hold on to this power, which will continue. And we've said this for the last 4 years. The more pressure he's under, the more he will be outrageous in his demands, the more the lies will increase. The big lie technique will get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you have consistently said, in effect, it will get worse. Donald Trump's condition will get worse, and it will get worse because the pressure increases. That was one of the factors. Certainly, a grand jury investigation in Manhattan is a very significant increase in pressure, along with the other grand jury investigation that's happening in Georgia over his election interference. Those are new kinds of pressures for him because he's no longer president. There's nothing he can do to interfere with those.
Right. And lack of power is the thing that he can't stand and doesn't acknowledge. Since it can't be true in his world, in his delusional world, he has to change reality to the extent he can to make it so. So he creates, the illusion that he has some information and things are going to happen. He promises that he'll be back in office and whatnot. It's more of the same. And I think that if none of these things pan out for him, I think what we'll see is that he will become even more overtly deluded. And I've said for some time, although I can't be sure, that he's certainly at risk of leaving the country rather than facing the law.
So is it possible that there might come a day if he's, say, convicted of a crime in New York, or that something could happen where he could have that moment where he kind of admits where he really is in the world?
I don't think so. That would be a sign of mental health, actually. The ability to grieve is normal. I don't think he can do that. I think he can only become more enraged and more psychotic.